We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm back. That still has a nice beat to it. Still seated twerking to bounce. New year, and that song still has a vibe in 2025. Also, it's time for a new intro. I am in with a podcast change. I added the F.A.A.F.O to it, but I'm back with the same formula that has allowed me to be successful in the past. I've set realistic intention. I plan on being present and following through, but I still intend to remain petty and hold grudges. Not all intentions need to be positive. Also, I will be unengaged and unbothered by people and things in my life that do not serve me. That means parasitic people, unsolicited judgments, biased newspapers, and mainstream banks. I will not apologize for maintaining my mental peace. Happy and unbothered and at peace because I'm at unbothered. All day, every day, being unbothered is my way. Join me.
To my homegirl, Laquita J. Elmore, Najee. Lift every chair and swing till all them white folks scream. Thought y'all could run up on our black king. I'm glad the squad pulled up, dedicated to Nuck if you buck. May it resound loud as the rolling sea. Throw your hats high in the air until Unc comes with the chair. Swim the seas until our cousins come and they rescue me. Let this be a lesson to y'all. Remember the Montgomery Brawl, where white folks fucked around and they found out.
Hark the heralds, angels sing. Glory to the newborn king. Yep, I am in the wrong season, but Easter is now vastly becoming a favorite of mine. I guess it's actually always been, although I personally have lost, like most Americans, I guess, have lost the meaning of the season behind all the commercialization. I talked to my sister not too long ago about Easter dresses and how we used to have the frilly one. I'm still mad about I can't remember if it was Lerner's or Montgomery Ward or Sears even bought frilly dress that I outgrew and that was passed on to cousins, of which I never got it back. I wish I actually could or had been allowed to keep that dress. I remember it to this day, had a red velvet top, A-line pleated, organza bottom, puffy sleeves to match my black petalette shoes with the fold-over socks with the lace around them. I thought I was the ish. And it wasn't, of course, about Easter and memorizing my Easter poem or whatever, or even the basket. It was just, the dress itself was pretty. And then as you get older, either you're working during that particular time or you're not, or you're in school or you're not. And I just decided to go back. But I also reaffirmed my decision not to return for another term or another term at this particular school. I'm not sure if it just because I'm still doing some prerequisites that I've become disillusioned with the online schooling process. And after finishing this project and actually having to suffer through another week of assignments when it should have been either or, it's good that I'm not coming back because I could actually reflect on other things like my podcast and getting into more details. But I did not go to church. And I could have just signed on to my online church, the Potter's House in Dallas, but I decided not to do that. For some reason, it fell on my mind as I was dancing in my car to Where Them Fans At, or Boots on the Ground, that I decided to look up and see where was the greatest story ever told available. And it is available on YouTube TV. It was on TCM, and I did not realize that the 1965 version almost didn't get made. This is also one of those films that it used to play just like It's a Wonderful Life and The Wizard of Oz back in the day. And I did not know the history of this film, how it was based on a very secular book. Of course, it's about the Passion of the Christ, which is another movie that I don't think I will actually be able to watch again. But this movie, I did not know that Fox withdrew funding for it because the time was overrun, the budget was overrun, and it had everybody and their cousin in this film, including Sidney Poitier, Telly Savalas, and John Wayne. John Wayne actually had some great words for it because the idea of being able to be guided by the director at that time was in his career was great for him. More so, the same iteration came from Charlton Heston, who I did not realize was in this movie. As John the Baptist. I still don't know who Jesus was. Who was Jesus with them blue eyes in the middle of the desert in Africa or in the Middle East at that time? Such racist. This was a product of 1965. And why was I boo-hooing like a crazy person as Jesus was walking up to Golgotha Hill? And guess who was the black dude that actually helped him out? Sidney Poitier took on the heft of the cross and put his arm around Jesus and walked him up to his death. And black folks, black men in particular, we've been doing that BC and then AD. And we're still doing it. I wouldn't call it a curse. I would just call it our shoulders to bear, because you have to suffer through so much in order to have that greatness. And that's why now I just really thought about it. I'm going to look up probably in the next segment after I finish this, but that's why people want to destroy us and what our contributions are, because it's great. And the enemy will try to destroy you because you don't know how great you are, and they want to destroy you before you realize it, and then you don't do and don't do their bidding, or you don't basically support their fallacy of supremacy. Because if you were to exist and you were actually to lean into our superior truth, I don't know if we're as great, but we should be recognized or equally as great as everyone else. And there are signs, just like there's signs of sociopath, there are signs of greatness of African people, of people of African descent. From the beginning of time to the beginning of this country, there you go. But if you want us to continue to support your fallacy of supremacy, we can't do that, because all of us are equally great. We could and trip out over it, but we're not supposed to do that either. I think the goal is to make people understand that just because you look different than them doesn't support that fallacy, because it is a lie. And until you believe that and stop trying to do this subversive negation, nothing you do is ever going to work. Until you do right by everybody else that you tried to kick and stomp, black women, black folks, women, others, you will not be great, and everything that you do will fail. And it's not a threat. It is actually a promise. Until you recognize, just like Mary Magdalene and the other women that wept and prepared Jesus for his own death, just like that Samaritan that helped him up the Golgotha hill, the children that you will not support, educate appropriately, and make sure they have health care, the old men and women and infirm that you won't supply a wage, a livable wage, food for, health care for, until you do right by the least of us, that the support and that fallacy of support of supremacy is what's going to be your downfall. You can do all you can, throw as much money as you can to support that fallacy, but that, guys, because it is a fallacy, is going to fail. One of the things that I got from watching The Greatest Story Ever Told, and in fact, me coming up with that and realizing that is the reason why it's the greatest story ever told. You got to do right by the least of everyone if you're going to really cross over and succeed in this life. Because what's the alternative? What is it? So I'm looking, previous episode or segment of the show, I was talking about the greatest story ever told. And even through the 60s, 1965, when this movie dropped, I was struck of why did Jesus have to have blue eyes? And the only person or character that was accurately portrayed and didn't have any lines, but had a very powerful, I spoke to the powerful nature of his character, was Sidney Poitier. You can actually side seat drive years later and say this is the kind of safe character that African Americans were allowed to portray. Yeah, whatever. But in one look, the great Sidney Poitier conveyed what my thought process was. First, Simon of Cyrene. Cyrene was a North African country that was actually under the rule of Greece at the time. His dark skin was probably representational and accurately represented by the choice of Sidney Poitier being cast for that character. I don't know if he was actually a pagan Muslim, or if he was actually one of the minority Greek Jews that were actually in that city. But he was very far from home to end up near Calvary and being compelled to carry the burden of the condemned Jesus of Nazareth. How about what it represents? Number one, with one look, he conveyed what I was thinking. He looked around that audience of all them white folks, all them white Jewish folks, and he was like, why y'all pick me? I guess he stood out like a sore thumb because of his sable skin. Fine at the time. Young Sidney Poitier was fine. And he looked at the condemned, whipped on, thorned Jesus, and he was compelled by the Roman soldiers, probably stank Roman soldiers, because, they don't wash their legs. And the greatest man, the story of the whole film, looked around at this group of extras and was like, nobody else gonna help your own dude? He just celebrated Passover. He is an observant Jew, and y'all basically condemn him because he didn't come in the form that y'all thought. And then Pontius Pilate and all them, y'all basically, he very well is the Son of God and is God incarnated on this earth. But y'all going to condemn him. None of all of y'all have missed the point. Which the point is, the burdens of the majority, because y'all missed the point, I've been made to step up to actually shoulder this burden of sacrifice. And it's going to be telling that I'm going to have to continue to do this for the diaspora through history. That's what that meant. Both of y'all missed the point. If y'all had basically been able and compelled to think outside of the box and been able to usher in a level of enlightenment that we've never would have known and could have, we missed the bucket. Can you imagine if the Romans had gotten their heads out their ass and recognized him as the true king and great sovereign here on earth and ushered in this new level of existence? But they were so primitive and so caught in their own selfish ways that they and the chosen people completely missed the point. And that's what we're actually dealing with now. Some 2,000 centuries later, we still are making up or still having to recover from that curse and that embarrassment of Calvary. Easter means so much to so many different people, but if they just would click that and recognize their part in that mistake, that is like, it goes from the greatest story ever told to the biggest mistake in humanity. And if they look at it that way, I don't think they would be so, people wouldn't be so judgy. You think? This is the last tidbit of my just contemplation of Easter week. Easter is a culmination, and it's a Christian high holiday. No matter where your walk is with Christ and with God, it's all on you. This is the end of Lent, and after having the most decadent meals for the last couple of days, I get it. I didn't realize that Ash Wednesday is the beginning of the Lent season where you're supposed to reflect on sacrifice and the sorrow of sin, etc. And Easter Day, which is Resurrection Day, is the culmination of the 40-day Lent season. What exactly did I give up? Kind of easy, because I don't eat as much and I don't drink as much, and everything we're protesting or we're boycotting. So if somebody gave up McDonald's during this period of time, cool, because I haven't been to McDonald's. I slipped and went before I knew we were actually boycotting it. If you want to go like on a retail blackout, yes, I did that. I didn't know I was participating in Lent, giving up stuff because it is in line with not buying stuff and not, you know, we gave y'all, we tried to anyways. We tried to tell y'all peacefully how to talk to us. We did it through DEI, you made and woke, and y'all made it now a curse word, and y'all did that. So now people like Target are getting sued and having to cut off the air conditioning because you don't get the same foot traffic, because you forgot that we, in spite of the fact that we don't get paid the same as y'all, and we haven't been paid the same for y'all for over 400 years, we still have a $2 trillion deep pockets. So good luck with all of that. That's why Costco looking at y'all sideways, because they don't care. Really? You want us to basically renege on something we should be doing because we don't want to be trash human beings, and you want to make all white people look like trash human beings? Stop it. But we get it. So it was easy, I guess, for Lent. I didn't even know we were in Lent season. I didn't know Ash Wednesday was 40 days ago. And this is why I celebrated with the most crispiest porchetta, the best red wine from the coastal California, and a salted baked potato topped with caviar and some oysters from Island Creek. This is how I break my Lent, not knowing this is how you would celebrate Lent, by breaking a fast and whatever you gave up. Because I gave up a lot and it was easy because I didn't need it anyways. And then we talk about the beginning of Palm Sunday. How did y'all, and I look at this too, giving the Jewish people a side eye, because they had Jesus riding in to the holiest of holy city on a donkey and put palms down. It was supposed to basically give him shade or casting shade his way, but it was also just an omen to what was about to go down just 6 days later. Passover was the Seder, the Last Supper, that he celebrated with his apostles, his followers. Take, eat, this is my body. Basically, giving them the prophecy of his impending death the next day, because the same people sold him out to the Roman kingdom. And how crazy it is. If y'all just had listened to him before y'all actually crucified him, y'all would have been ushered in the greatest empire of the world, because y'all became the Holy Roman Empire. It took y'all a minute, but it took you, it wasted time and energy, and y'all had the Christ. He did not want to be king of anything. He just wanted to save our souls. But y'all foots around, basically humiliated him with crucifixion, and then let his own people sell him out. The Jewish people sold our Christ out, y'all. Culminated with Good Friday and then Resurrection Day, 3 days later. The women basically came to the rescue and basically said, he's arisen, go on, y'all need to really. And for whatever reason, he came back and he still sacrificed himself for us. And y'all didn't even give a good hallelujah because he was that. What wasted time and energy? Can you imagine? They basically, Pontius Pilate kept saying, and the teachers were all saying, What do y'all have against him? Because he didn't come in the form that Barabbas and even Judas Iscariot actually said, just because he didn't come busting down stuff, but he was going to still be the greatest and beyond any king that you can ever imagine. Because he didn't fit your visualization of what the Messiah was and what a king should be, y'all basically said he had to die and he became even bigger after life. Y'all just be playing in people's face, and it's just a waste of talent and talent. And it took y'all a couple of centuries to figure out that, yeah, that little Jewish boy, Mary's son, he was probably it, greater than any of messenger we could ever have known. These other messengers just basically also giving us tip how to get to where Jesus, the little Messiah, Jewish boy was. But we gonna waste time playing people's face just because we don't want to believe that, because how could he have been born just like the rest of us, but be greater than the rest of us? Really? Is it what you're telling me now? And everybody, there have been perversions of that word. The simple fact is, we make belief, salvation way too complicated because we still get twisted up in our humanity. But we shouldn't let our humanity get in the way of the prize, which is the belief and salvation. There has to be a balance. And again, everybody's walk is different. From the money changers that he basically busted up, that basically are not just a perversion, because I don't think the issue is not so much about riches and be able to share wealth, and because, the poor will always be among us. But when you basically use those things to deflect from salvation, that is the issue. I think that was the issue of why he was flipping tables. He was the first person to flip tables before Teresa Giudice on Real Housewives of New Jersey, because y'all basically lost the whole reflection of what tax collectors and what that actually is. In our physical world, there is monetization, but when that becomes your end-all be-all and you trying to serve God as well as money, and you make money your God, that is the issue. No, I don't think salvation means you have to suffer, but when you get off of the main goal, you will suffer, is the bottom line. And nobody wants to catch a spiritual stray because he said that. And this is one of those things, if people tell you something, believe them, because this is something that's going to be to your benefit and not to your detriment. And that is one of the things, the whole Passion of the Christ, Easter, and a belief system means. This is that focus. And people are try to play in your face, and they try to make their walk yours and vice versa. But however you come to the realization of whose you are and who the supreme being is, that's on you. It has nothing to do with anybody calling out, screaming in the wind. As long as you get that and you try to make the walk who you are, and you basically, and it's individual. It really is, because we are all different. And the bottom line is, no one is above everyone else. The people or the person or the being that made the ultimate sacrifice, we are now reading about. There's nobody else that's going to be able to make. That is the superior, and he is the one. Everybody else is negligible. And your belief system and how your walk is no better or no above anybody else. You can try to make up stuff to basically make yourself, again, it's all fallacy. And at the end, it is just that. It's a lie, and it's not going to get you even closer to the Creator. It has nothing to do with who your parent, your mom and them is. It depends on what your belief and what your walk is. Has nothing to do with your color, has nothing to do with your job title, has nothing to do with any of that. How humble you are and if what your true and pure belief system is. This other stuff is negotiable. And the only thing it's going to do is basically keep you from the goal of enjoying eternal life, because that's the bottom line. We're a messy bunch, the shady bunch, the shady bunch. I hope for checks is worth being part of the shady bunch. So I'm recording this last part of the podcast because I had to rewatch Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I decided to go ahead and just complete this part of the recording, because the first part of this episode is really focusing on Easter, and there's just so much shenanigans going on. The first of my own report and take on pop culture is every single day there appears to be America, the Real Housewives of America, because the way these bum bitches are basically running the country is like the worst Apprentice ever. And guess who was the star before the show got canceled? The number one cricket weave bum bitch. So my thing is, if you don't want to be a bum bitch or a dumb bitch, don't be a bum bitch or a dumb bitch. And we want to talk about it. But don't tell people not to talk about it because you don't want to smoke. Stop doing bum-ish and we won't talk about it. But you can hear in the background, and I'm so sorry for that. I'm probably going to have to turn it down just a little bit more because these bitches are loud. But I also like how the approach to the Chinese, they were like, I don't want this smoke. We have been here BC 5,000 years. We got 5,000 years on us. Y'all have been on in the game for about 250 years. Shut up and get out and stop playing in our face, because we will be here before the tariff. We will be here before you get locked up. And it's basically you selling it off so we can basically buy y'all at a bargain rate. Y'all trying to you do realize that, all this insider trading shit is going to get all of us got. You can't basically say, do you realize that the number one bum bitch in charge basically refinance all of his shenanigans and then he claims bankruptcy? How can you be a billionaire and every company that's in your name files for bankruptcy, Chapter 11, belly up? How is that possible? Because you don't pay your bills. And you're basically running one of the biggest economies in the world, just like you ran your own companies in the ground. But you messing with the wrong people's bag. So your comeuppance is going to be more than anything I could ever imagine. You talk about people that can hit you from anywhere in the world. And nobody, including that crooked glued-on weave, is not going to be able to support you. That's why I can't get upset by your shenanigans, because there's so many other things that are happening. For example, may he rest in power, Pope Francis, after watching Conclave and how his ascension was riddled with intrigue and chaos and craziness, and why it took Ratzenberger leaving the papacy, because y'all were draining the power out of him like a vampire, and he looks like a completely total different man. I honestly believe the writing was on the wall after he had that surgery. He hasn't been right and sprightly since, and then he caught pneumonia, and then it was all downhill after that. One, I didn't realize how he was far into his 80s. And taking the weight on in this world was a lot. Taking it onto his shoulders. He hung on until after Easter. And then he passed away. He went on into glory. And job well done, sir. I'm not Catholic. Some of their doctrines are crazy. But he seemed to be on the right side of this. And since Easter, and if you listen to the previous parts of the segment, you know that I'm still backing the Jewish dude, because what are the alternatives? This dude died and raised up and still didn't smoke any of us? Girl, I'm too petty to have been Jesus. I'm just saying. But there you go. Also too petty to be Pope, because I tell you one time, I'm going to tell you to come to Jesus one time. You don't listen, bye. Good, fine, bye. I couldn't do it. I'm Gucci. So, and then further into pop culture, I am watching Real Housewives again. And since Real Housewives of Potomac has wrapped already, and they're talking about how beautiful actually Cynthia is, and she's actually like 56, 57 years old, and she called how Porsha is petty. She is petty, very petty. She keeps saying that she's okay, she doesn't care. Yeah, she does. That's why she didn't invite Drew. And then she looking kind of crazy when Angela did. And Angela is petty. Angela Oakley is so petty. And she is stunningly beautiful. And I didn't realize that her and Cynthia are the same age, y'all. And both look beautiful, but they're not here for the shenanigans. Both are force multipliers, as Carlos King would say. And why are y'all skirting around the issue that homegirl is truly the bum bitch? They were like, I know the other little one, the waffle and chicken girl, was supporting Brit whatever her name is, but she at the car dealership getting a Ferrari. The only person that I know of that probably can afford that is probably Shamean. Why are you perpetrating? What does your husband do? Does he have myasthenia gravis or something? Because he always looked tired, sleepy, or high. So I'm not sure what exactly is his job. And according to former housewife sources, you have not worked for an insurance company since 2023. All of this ish went down in 2024. What are you talking about, girl? You are not that horse-faced girl from Real Housewives of OC. Vicky Galveston. You have not had, what clients are you talking about? That all of the stuff that was actually already out there that Kenya put at her opening, which was wrong, but your response is off the kilter, delusional, and crazy, because you haven't had what clients are you talking about? You haven't done anything probably in the insurance anyways, and in order to be investigated and to have your broker license revoked. Girl, shut up. The stuff, you can't have things scrubbed from the internet. Again, delusional. Because once it's put out there, it's on somebody's server, somebody's phone, somebody's screen recording. What are you talking about? And I'm hoping Angela is going to basically body that, and somebody's going to get to the bottom of her lies, because everything that she's saying is completely off hinge and delusional. Yes, it would have been great to see her and Kenya, and then when the phaser of it all go tit for tat. But what she's doing now, yeah. I wonder if Phaedra's going to get her all together because game recognizes game. And fraud recognizes fraud. And if she really on some fraud-ish, Phaedra's going to clock that. For real, for real. And I'm sure she still has contact down at the city hall and licensing agencies. So she's going to know the true tea. One, because she's vicious on some get back and petty. So I'm waiting to see all of that. But what I'm seeing now and how they're dancing around the stuff and how petty Porsha is so petty. How is Porsha going to have that big house in Nashville? And you go to Nashville of all places and you put that girl in that romper room and say, oh, you're fine. No, you ain't fine. You just as petty as all get out. And you mad because Drew beat you to the Dennis storyline. Y'all should have been on, if you was really serious about your career, one, you wouldn't be lying because Shamia know the true tea that little girl, her education probably truly is already paid for. And it has nothing to do with royalties from your little songs. Nobody is streaming your album like that. And if you had true juice, you would have been in the recording studio with real producers like Shamia Morton, because she truly is a true artist. And she's working with actual producers, real school producers with some Grammys and some true royalties behind their name. And she don't have to make up anything and use the platform, which the platform is great, but also the name of who the real producers she's working with are even better. So because Potomac is not on right now Drew be lying. And you need to get your story straight. Because you finna be dragged for your lies. You can take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take hood music out the girl. But I'm going to end this with a word, just as I started this podcast. Do or do not do. There is no try. And that's a word from Yoda. I hope I have conveyed just how much fun I have had in creating this podcast. I've got my mojo back. Just set your intention or reset your intention. It could be daily if necessary. Mine is peace. No mental dumping over here. If I'm acting like I'm not listening, I'm probably not. I'm not your therapist. I'm not a therapist. Keep the crazy to yourself, child. You do you and leave me be. The sooner you figure that ish out, the happier you will be. So this is what I want to convey in this podcast. And that wraps another of F.A.A.F.O Has a Fro. Join me next time as I throw shade and point out the shade and simply have fun. Y'all have a great new year. What, y'all? What?